Hello and welcome to Acoustic Review. My name is Ben Morgan Brown and today I'm looking at two amps from Kustom, the Sienna Pro 30 and the Sienna Pro 65. The Sienna Pro 30 is a 30-watt amp with a 10-inch speaker. It has a 1/4-inch jack mic and line input and a 1/4-inch jack guitar input with passive and active settings. The global EQ section features low, mid and high as well as a frequency notch filter. The amp has an external speaker out and line out on the rear. Digital chorus and reverb are included as well, and the amp has an RRP of £189. The Pro 65 is, unsurprisingly, 65 watts with a 12-inch speaker. It has an XLR microphone input and 1/4-inch jack inputs for guitar. The mic channel has 3-band EQ and a phase switch, whereas the guitar channel has 2-band EQ and a notch filter. 8 digital effects ranging from reverb to chorus and slapback delay can be added to each channel individually. The amp also features an external speaker and line out, and it has an RRP of £329. For the purpose of this review, I'm using my Collins OM2 HT, which is fitted with a K&K Pure MIDI pickup. So let's have another listen to the Sienna Pro amps now, and then please join me afterwards for my thoughts.
There are many ways that I have found keeping a good man down. Just a shame that man is me. Walking along with my head stuck on the ground, digging my own brains out, trying to let those feelings be.
Unboxing the Sienna Pros, it's clear that Kustom have stuck with the tried and trusted brown box look that often dominates the acoustic amp world, which is fine, if a little dull. But I do like the wheat speaker grille cloth, and neither amp would stick out at a gig and should look professional on stage. Although I'm not 100% sure about the wooden logo on the front. It looks a little bit naff to me. Both amps are quite heavy. I think I'd struggle to carry the 65 up a flight of stairs without using both arms, and even the smaller 30 is about the same weight as an equivalent sized valve electric amp, but they do feel reassuredly sturdy and solid. The controls on both amps are logically laid out and easy to read, although the control knobs themselves are black with black indents for markers, so on a dark stage it would be virtually impossible to see where your settings were at a glance. I'd be tempted to fill those indents with a drop of Tipex so I could see my settings more easily if these amps were mine. When it comes to the control layout and features, a couple of choices puzzle me. For example, the instrument channel on the 65 has neither a mid or a phase control, whereas the microphone channel has both. In my experience, being able to adjust the mid-range is pretty much essential for all acoustic pickups, and a simple phase setting change can often be the difference between a clean tone and booming feedback, so I was surprised to see those on the microphone channel, but not on the instrument one. Admittedly, the notch filter goes a long way to eliminating feedback, more so than phase in the case of the K&K pickup in my guitar, but a mid control on the instrument channel would have been really handy for dialing in the sound. The use of a 1/4-inch jack input for the mic input on the 30 also annoys me slightly, as it means you either need an adapter or have to have an XLR to jack cable with you, and this combined with the global EQ on the 30 makes me feel that using the word Pro in the description of this amp is a little optimistic. On both amps there are line outs, but I can't find out anywhere if these are balanced, so I suspect they're not. At this price point I don't think that's a deal breaker, but I do wish the jacks were a little more user friendly in their placement. Having them inside the chassis makes it a little awkward to find the right jack to plug the cable into. However, those design choice niggles aside, what really matters is the tone. I thought that both amps conveyed the woodiness of the K&K in my guitar well, with a solid low end response that was easily controlled with the EQ section. In some ways, I preferred the tone of the 30 as I really missed the middle EQ on the 65, but the high and low controls on the 65 still allowed me to get close to the sound I wanted. Despite having separate high frequency drivers, I felt both amps lacked a little clarity on the top end, and this was particularly noticeable when I combined the internal microphone in my guitar with the pickup. Some of the airiness that the mic normally brings was lost, and it didn't quite have the detail I'd normally expect. For this review, you're hearing the K&K only, as my dual setup makes use of an external preamp that would colour the sound. But if you are using a mic-based system, that slight lack of top-end detail might be worth noting. On the other hand, of course, this voicing at the very top end would probably help a lot of harsher systems achieve a smoother tone, so it would be worth attempting to try these amps with your own setup if you can to see how that works for you. Vocals through both amps sounded strong, but again that lack of top-end detail made them sound a little boxy to my ear. Also, I found it quite hard to get a balance of a good vocal tone and a good guitar tone through the 30 when using the global EQ. The reverb on both amps was acceptable at lower levels and tending towards tiled bathroom at higher levels, but I actually thought the chorus on the 30 sounded pretty good, with a bit of a Andy Summers vibe that didn't get too extreme at higher settings. Given the price point of these amplifiers, I think they performed well. As I said, they do lack a little top-end detail and the control choices are a bit idiosyncratic, but these things aside, they feel and sound like solid workhorse-like amps. The 30, with its shared EQ and lack of XLR input, I think would be best suited for those wanting to simply amplify a single guitar, maybe to use with a looper for example, or as a monitor on stage. But I don't think it's quite up to handling the task of guitar and vocals together in a concert setting on its own. For that application, the 65 would be a better choice, with the added bonus of a beefier output, meaning you could cover small gigs in cafes or restaurants, etc. quite easily, I think. There's many amplifiers available at this end of the market, including those from some notable names in the industry. The Sienna 30 Pro has a slightly easier time competing as its price point is so attractive. Off the top of my head, I can't think of another amp with these features at sub £200, and for that reason alone I think it would be popular with those wanting a simple and affordable solution for plugging in. The 65 Pro has a bit more of a difficult task as it sits at a point where some very successful amps already exist. Admittedly, it has more power on tap and a larger speaker than some of its competitors, meaning it should outperform them in some situations, but its bulkiness might put it at a disadvantage compared to its more svelte competitors. Overall though, my impression of these Sienna amps from Kustom is that they are very well built, with a decent sound and affordably priced. Admittedly, I don't think they compete with the options available in the next price bracket up, but if you're looking for a good, honest, workhorse-like amp without an expensive price tag, then the new Sienna range from Kustom Amps is worth looking out for. I hope you've enjoyed this video from Acoustic Review. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be kept up to date when we post new videos, and I look forward to seeing you next time.